You need to hire someone as fast as you can when you can produce more than what they cost you. So if a technician is going to cost you $2,000, as soon as you can at least bring in another $2,000 in revenue, you need to be hiring and going on to the next technician, to the next salesman, to the next whatever, and figuring out a way to continue to grow. Let's talk about, though, because I feel like it's a problem today, is hiring the right people.
Yeah.
And that it's frustrating for me to see when a guy breaks his foot or a guy, can't finish all of his stops, and it's like he's older or he's overweight or he's like all these different things. It's like, guys, this is a heavy, like, you're out in 115 degree heat all day long. It's heavy, like it's hot out there. This is overwhelming for some people. Like,
but Cameron, that's going to turn people away.
Yeah, well, I don't care.
Welcome to the Premium Mindset, the weekly podcast where homegrown entrepreneurs and business owners Evan Ritchie and Cameron Bodden share the good, the bad, and the ugly of modern entrepreneurship and reveal what really happens behind the scenes of their personal and professional lives. As owners of two of America's fastest growing and most disruptive companies, Coconut Cleaning and Green Mango Pest Control. Stay tuned for real stories, struggles, insight, and advice from real entrepreneurs in real time.
You have a hiring problem, and today we're going to talk about our experiences in learning on when to hire, how to hire, and what the best practices are for finding the best talent. Find people that know how to communicate better than you. But let's start out with the king of hiring and mostly of firing, Cameron Bodden.
You're on one today, man.
I'm just kidding. No, honestly, Hype Farm. So Hype Farm is the brand name that we give our service companies. It's the umbrella name that currently overlooks Green Mango Pest Control and Coconut Cleaning. And currently we're north of 200 employees. Mm-hmm. Okay. Could you make a guesstimate from 2010 to 2024, including the current 200 that are here, how many people you've hired?
I have no clue.
North of 1,000?
No, not personally.
Really?
That's a lot.
No, like just people? The companies.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
North of 1,000.
Unfortunately, yes. Because when our culture was horrible, we had over 100% turnover rate just in our technicians, and there's over 70 to 80 techs. So, and on average, you have almost 100 turnovers between the office and the techs for the past at least 6-7 years at those volumes. So yeah, we're probably around 1,000.
Okay, so let's start with the first question that I get asked often, which I imagine you get asked more, which is, hey, Cam, hey, Evan, I don't know when I should hire someone, and I feel like no one's going to do as good enough job as me. What's your usual response to people that say, how do you know when to hire? Like, let's start with like maybe the frontline type employee.
Like a customer service
tech? Yeah, customer service
tech,
something like that.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, they're never going to do as good a job as you, like, period. And so it's your job to figure out ways to motivate them to where they're going to perform the best to their abilities that they can, because they don't have an invested interest, like, period. And, I don't want to go off on a tangent here, but I got to say this. James told me yesterday, he texted me again. He's like, hey, just so you know, you are still the highest sales rep in the company. You've put on more accounts than anyone else. And your people that you put on refer at a higher rate than anyone else in the company. And I haven't been on the phones. I haven't been on the phone since 2016, 2017. So we're talking almost what is that? 7 years now, 6 plus years. And I know, and this is what bothers me so much, is that I know I'm nothing special. I just took a little bit more time.
We all know that.
I put on that charm. And I made the customer feel appreciated, and that's it. Like, hey, you have bugs? Like, let me put some detailed notes in your system. I'm going to make sure you get taken care of, and I'm going to sell you on the service. That's it. Like, that's it. I never pulled the owner card because I told you, like, people would ask for more if you pulled the owner card. You don't pull I pulled the manager card a lot. But I never pulled the owner card. What are you laughing at? You find a piece of candy in your pocket?
Yeah, like, cool. Let me answer the question. So if you don't know when you should hire someone,
I went off on a tangent. Look, okay, I'll answer the question. I just need to get that out there. You need to hire someone as fast as you can when you can produce more than what they cost you. So if
Yeah.
a technician is going to cost you $2,000, as soon as you can at least bring in another $2,000 in revenue, you need to be hiring and going on to the next technician, to the next salesman, to the next whatever,
Yeah.
and figuring out a way to continue to grow.
Yeah, bandwidth has been a frequent conversation. I'd say we're probably talking about bandwidth maybe every other meeting. Oh crap. Don't
Yeah.
sneeze.
So I'm glad you've paused because I got more to say. Someone on my live
tune out.
Q&A call the other day, they had an issue where they're like, hey, we have enough work, but there's like sometimes 2 to 3 days within a month, or maybe it was a week where we don't have enough bandwidth. And I was thinking like, yeah, that sucks, but that's always an issue for you as a company, even as you get bigger. But you just don't recognize it as much because there's profit there to kind of
Buffer.
buffer, give you a little cushion.
Yeah.
But you need to figure out how to make that person or those people as effective as you can on those days off. And what I didn't say, and I wish I would have added, is that there's no such thing as too much training. So if there's 2 days a month, 3 days a week, whatever it might be, and you're having to pay those people, like, one, get them to, try and sell, but two, bring them in for more training, and that'll pay off 100%. And that's the same today that we should be doing is like, hey, you don't have a route, instead of going home, if we're still having to pay you, let's have you sit in a department and learn that system or that policy, or let's give you some more training on the job because it'll always pay off.
Yeah. And real quick, if I could differentiate between a direct labor position and a indirect labor position, I feel like a lot of companies don't really know how to add another customer service representative that is only over taking phone calls, because that's where I think those extra hours creep in, because you're out in the field and they're, and I feel like you've been hitting hard on this, is that you see their talk time is like 3 hours in a day, but they're not saying anything. And you know that they're doing emails, they're talking to customers via text. However, an indirect labor position is often hard to, calculate as far as when you should have somebody. However, in any aspect, whether it's direct labor, which is somebody actually driving revenue out in the field, performing a job or upselling, is you should have the KPIs and you should know what your indicators are, so that the second you start approaching a threshold where, if you know that your current fleet consists of 2 trucks and those trucks can each service 15, 16 jobs a day, in pest control for us and carpet cleaning, it's about 5 to 6 jobs. The second a 2 fleet vehicle operation starts getting to that, for us, that 10 to 12 range, and for pest control, that 15 to 30, that's when you have to start looking into those extra expenses of the vehicle and getting ready to hire for someone. And so that begs the next question, something that I'm really proud of, if I can have my own tangent. Yeah?
Oh, please don't.
Please?
We didn't have to do Indeed forever. We just hired within.
I'm trying to think of something else to say, but yeah, that's what it is.
It is pretty cool.
Yeah, the first 5 years of Coconut, we didn't have, outside of the first post to find Sherry, and she was responding to a Green Mango post. We didn't have to make a single post on Indeed or on social media, because everybody that has worked at Coconut has been referred by another person. And so first and foremost, once you figure out how to hire, my opinion, because if your vetting process is good, is that you go to your current staff and you ask if anybody has somebody that they would like to refer to the company. Because I think it's a good indicator if your people are happy, as well as if they're willing to have like a brother, a sister, a cousin, or just a friend, a mutual friend, come into the business. That's a good indication that your culture is actually running pretty well. And then there's the other platforms that Green Mango has to use, which is like...
Is that a dig?
Indeed.
Let me have that mic. Okay, it's cute. Your little tangent. Listen. Let's talk about, though, because I feel like it's a problem today, is hiring the right people.
Yeah.
And that it's frustrating for me to see when a guy breaks his foot or a guy, can't finish all of his stops, and it's like he's older, or he's overweight, or he's like all these different things. It's like, guys, this is a heavy, like you're out in 115-degree heat all day long. It's heavy. Like it's hot out there. This is overwhelming for some people. Like
But
need
Cameron,
to make
that's
sure.
going to turn people away.
Yeah, well, I don't care, okay? Because you have to hire, and this is what I loved about Kristen, and she made this 20-minute video, and I think we should copy her, of going into exactly what it takes to get hired by a design firm. And her thing was like, she went from, hey, how should you have your resume? What should you have on your resume? Should you talk about like all of your experience, or should it just go back to past 6 months or past 6 years? Like, don't talk about how you were a waiter when you were 16. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And she said the fonts, like she's very detail oriented because that's what design is, right? And so when they're designing a person's house, if someone like on their resume is using 3 different fonts or different formats, if they come in and they're wearing all this makeup and they get dolled up, and then the next month after they hire, like they never come in with makeup and they're just kind of a slob. It's like, hey, come as you are and like present yourself. And like she hit on 15 to 20 things that were non-negotiables for her that made it to where like, I know this is going to be a good hire. Too often we're growing so quickly that it's like, if you have a pulse, we're hiring you.
Yeah.
And I just think that's a huge mistake, because it's just going to bite you in the butt in the fact that you're not going to be happy with how that person's working out, because he's not going to hold the line. So we need to hold the line from the beginning and be strategic on who we are hiring and who we're not, and have probably a more rigorous vetting process for hiring. And I think more people should be involved in it than just like one department manager.
I love that. And I think that's something that we're focusing even more on now. In an area that we're seeing it is that Coconut is a service-based company. However, the company lives off the technician's ability to go into a home and say, hey, we can also clean couches, area rugs, you name it. But Green Mango, where we're running into a fork in the road, is these technicians were brought on board because maybe they have experience in pest control. They know what they're getting themselves into as far as the heat and everything, and that's okay. But now we're elevating ourselves as a company and saying, hey guys, we offer 10 other services and no other technician is talking about these services or talking about our referral program. So we need you guys to be better at communicating, and we need you guys to, like, for lack of better words, to sell at the customer's house. Basically just find areas of need for that they have and then offer the service. And just to give you a example of what it looks like as far as a representation, as far as the people willing to do that, is we have a master communicator course where they are able to earn additional income just by attending for an hour and a half, one time a month. Of 80, 85 technicians, probably 10 go.
Don't say that number, man.
10.
It's horrible.
Okay. But it
it's
highlights your
identity,
point, is that now we're going back to where we vet people and saying we need to start at the very beginning, telling these people that, great, you've done pest control for 3 years. Great that you're manual labor, hands-on, you're a hard worker. However, a expectation here at Green Mango Pest Control is that you communicate with our customers and you learn how to effectively ask questions and how to get any of their needs so that we can add additional services to their home so it's better protected. And I really feel like that alone is going to vet a lot of people
We need
out.
to make the video, man. We need to copy what Kristen did. We need to make
do
the
you have it?
video. I can't share with you, but it's like 20 minutes long, and she literally goes through everything and sets the standard and the expectation. Like, one of her things is like, hey, don't follow up with me on DM. Like, it's inappropriate. I don't like it. I'm like, okay, some people might like that, but she's just very clear. Like, hey, make sure when you say my name, like, you know how to pronounce my name. Don't say that you're a fan of the company, but we go to look and you haven't followed us. Like all these little things is just like, this is who we are.
Dang.
And don't come in and lie. And I don't know. There's a lot of respect there, but you've talked about intercompany referrals, which is, Coconuts, and I laugh about it, but it's absolutely phenomenal. We've had a lot of success on Indeed. One of the things that we've done in the past too, is in order to maximize our employees that we have here, is we give them, you try and take the hardship out of it, right? Of, hey, can you post about us needing to hire? well, what do I post? What should it say? So we create content for them that's literally like a beautiful picture of me.
Right.
It says now hiring. We give them the caption and it's like, here you go. Like just literally attach it to your Instagram and post it. And so I was laughing at someone else. Like they're like, hey, review our company. And they even have a link on like the post. I'm like, you're making it hard. Like people, I would have just clicked on it and then, 2 clicks away from a review. But if I have to go find the link, if I have to go click on it, it's like, it adds a couple of steps and it's just 1 or 2 many steps to get a review. It's the same thing when you're asking for referrals for intercompany. But if you can get intercompany referrals, like that's absolutely phenomenal. Make sure that you have a bonus structure for people. And I would encourage people that if you do have, let's say you're going to give $1,000 to someone or $500, pay half up front and then half 3 months to 6 months down the road to make sure that they're a good candidate. They're not just coming here to get the quick money and dip out on you.
I love it. So just recapping a little bit where we're at up to this point is that if you struggle knowing when to hire, you need to take a deep dive in on your KPIs and your volume and your capabilities of servicing the individual customer in your respective field. And when you get closer to the threshold of not being able to service a customer with your current fleet or your booking, 3-4 days out, that's when you should start taking a look at putting an ad up or asking for referrals. But I think something that we're saying without like very directly saying is make sure that you have a culture of the people that are already there that they want to refer, because then you don't have to run into as many issues not knowing who they are. Because I talked about it last time. At Coconut, we had 5 sets of brothers. Mm-hmm. And if it's done right, what's great is there's an accountability system that isn't always directly the employee. Like sometimes the brother's like, bro, like I've been here 2 years, don't embarrass me. Or, hey, these are the standards here. And so make sure you have a good culture where people want to refer. So go referrals, go to social media, go to Indeed. But the next step after that is make sure that you have a phenomenal vetting process and that you don't get impatient. If you feel overwhelmed and you can't do all the work by yourself, it's like shopping when you're hungry. Don't go grocery shopping when you're hungry. Don't hire when you're desperate. Make sure you vet correctly. Make sure that people have the proper expectations and the standards. And don't be afraid of a few days where you don't know exactly what to do with them. Get them training, get them shadowing. And that, I feel like that's a good way to put yourself up against a wall to try to get more work coming in for them as well.
Yeah, I'll just add this at the beginning because Lexi brought it up the other day. Is like, hey, it's one thing to do all this work to get people in, and we could talk about retaining employees for a long time, right? But I just want to highlight this one point because it stood out to me that even when she came in here a couple months ago, it's been 8 months now.
Wow.
Can you believe that?
That's crazy. That's
longer,
insane.
9 months, 8 months. Anyways,
I was going to say like 4 or 5 months.
She's like, hey, like not many people said hi. Like I didn't feel, it's not like I didn't feel welcome, but I didn't feel welcome. Like there's one person that reached out to me and made me feel like I was important.
I think I gave her the bird.
Huh?
I think I gave her the bird.
Yeah, that sounds like you. So like go through all this effort to get people, but then have a support system. Right. I always talk about that day, because I was that kid in elementary school, like had my, why are you laughing, man? My lunch tray, and you're walking around and you're like looking for your buddies and you can't find them, man. It's like, that's how a new employee feels. Like imagine coming into this environment your first day and like no one's saying hi to you. You're like, oh, this freaking sucks.
Right. And that's having a good culture so that people understand why you're hiring. Because a lot of people, I've made a job posting for Inside Sales, our sales center, and because we post internally as well. And within 2 hours, like 2 of the 3 guys that reached out to me, they're like, what are you doing? Like, are we okay? Yeah, are we getting replaced? So also, again, culturally, make sure that your people are aware that, hey, this person's coming on board for this reason. They have these direct responsibilities. It's going to offload me here, here, and here. And so this is what you can expect of them. And so if they ever look lost, here's where to redirect them. But hiring is a very important part of running a successful business. And I feel like the better we get at it, the better our company is at finding certain individuals that are the same as if we were hiring 10, but we're just hiring 1 or 2, because we're so much better at vetting for people that are going to impact the culture positively. So And then especially as it pertains to pay and income,
They pay like $20 more than anyone else, and they'll never leave you.
that's
Just
not
get
true.
it out of the way.
See, and we know that isn't true. And I love that you said that to make sure that the bar is set low for how you do that. But you don't do that. You make sure the standards are high, expectations are high. You make sure that they have a good roadmap for how their pay could increase. However, a general rule of thumb in entrepreneurship when you don't know how much to pay a certain individual is, again, it goes back to your KPIs. But for direct labor, your goal should generally be to pay between 5 and 20% of production.
5 and 20%?
Yeah, because
Quite the swing.
well, you have salesmen that you want to headhunt a killer.
You're saying
They're not-
commission on top of hourly between 5 and 10%.
Well, like if you just have a 100% commission guy, right? Like he might be closer to 20%, but then you might have a group of, again, direct labor of technicians who make 15 to 20 bucks an hour. So you'd look at how many hours you'd want them working, hopefully a full-time job. And then you say, is the job and production they're going to produce bringing in, I generally say about 3 to 5x of the actual
yeah,
like
sounds
wage
right.
that you're paying.
Sounds about right.
I hate you. And then as far as like top talent and high salaries go,
Send it.
just send it. Pay them low base, high commissions. Anyone looking for high salaries is going to be a waste.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
They just get lazy. They get entitled. They get complacent. And as long as your structure is good for them to produce and you know your KPIs to hold them to, then they're always being held to the line and they're eating what they kill.